The one type of genre the Wii U's indie scene seems to lack is the 3D platformer. Being an admittedly hard genre to develop games for, there's only been one truly 3D platformer on the indie side of the Wii U's lineup that I've found: Armillo. Armillo was created by FuzzyWuzzyGames, an unfortunately now decommissioned studio, with this game being the only title under its belt. Now, I picked up the game the day it launched because I saw great potential in it, and I've actually been meaning to review it for a while now. So how is it? Let's roll right in. After coming home from an intergalactic vacation, Armillo arrives to find his homeworld and buddies known as critters terrorized by an unknown threat. After investigating the critter incident, the threat reveals itself as Roto, from a legion of machines called the Darkbots. These aren't your typical robotic operating buddies, oh no. After polluting their own world and running out of any usable energy they had, the Legion sought other planets to obtain foreign resources. Once stumbling across Armillo's world, Roto overturned the place in hopes of finding any usable energy reserves. He discovered that the critters supplied what he needed, locking them in extraction cores with no way out. After Armillo supposedly stops the fiend's attempt to dominate his home, Roto kidnaps Armillo's brother, Bulabo, and escapes the planet. Okay, now it's personal. We need to save our brother, the critters, and explore each galaxy to stop the Darkbot invasion. In Armillo, you'll roll your way through 3D environments, exploring each galaxy to further learn about the Darkbots and how to stop them. Armillo is equipped with a jump and boost to speed through levels, but it's a lot more in depth than that. The gameplay seems to have taken large inspiration from Mario Galaxy's level design, going around on a spherical planet to do some platforming. Admittedly, the platforming takes a backseat in favor of the rolling mechanic, but I can see why. The wheel-like movement comes along naturally and is used a lot to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. Throughout each level, various power-ups and items can be found. With these you can grow, change shape, explode, or equip yourself with a laser gun. These sections really spice up the gameplay and are very fun to use. But how are the levels themselves? Every stage the game had to offer was different and unique. No two ever focused on the same gimmick or idea. I mean, have you ever played a level where you had to eat your way to advance? How about switching between frozen and heated versions of a planet to crush energy capsules? I thought so. During each level, you'll have to progress by entering a parallel dimension, poisonous to both Armillo and Bulabo. Figuring out their puzzles and finding extra time is the only way to survive. At the end of each normal stage, you'll be given a mini planetoid to explore and the task of collecting as many blue orbs as possible before the timer runs out. You can get up to 45 seconds per level simply by collecting all the critters. These are a great way to gain extra currency and are a neat little sideshow before you get to the bosses. Speaking of which, I found them to be pretty cool. Now, they weren't all equally as creative as each other in concept, but I never found one frustrating to beat. Just to gold rank. This was a major problem at launch, as some of the levels wouldn't even give you a ranking, no matter how quickly or efficiently you beat it. Thankfully, the issue has since been patched, but I know it was a problem for many at the start. Armillo has 5 galaxies to explore, with 4 levels each and a secret galaxy to unlock after completing the game. Before you're allowed to open each 4th level though, you must find red orbs in the secret levels and obtain a certain amount of critters in the main stages to unlock them. Now, how the heck do you even get these secret stages? Armillo encourages that you go off the beaten path and occasionally backtrack when you upgrade yourself later in the game. These upgrades can be obtained in the Critter Corner after collecting a hefty amount of blue orbs. There's not much to say about it aside from, it's the game's shop, so let's move back to the secret stages. After coming across these levels, you'll be able to enter the Matrix. Oh wait, it's not the Matrix. Well, too bad, that's what I'm calling it. The Matrix levels are 2D side-scrollers, testing your platforming skills to overcome its challenges. While the 3D levels focus on rolling around, the 2D one's focal point is on pure platforming. The boost still remains, but you can now double jump as well. Since these parts of the game are in 2D, the gaming twists are more accommodated to this perspective. How about one that involves growing and shrinking? Maybe one that rotates the entire stage to get to the end. I just love the gameplay variety that Armillo offers, and hey, it doesn't look too bad either. Armillo's visuals may not be AAA tier, but I found them rather pleasing to the eyes. Varying colors and scenery give the levels a bit of visual flair and uniqueness. Yeah, the style of each scenery rarely differs, but like I said, the real time and effort was put into making each level play differently. I will say though, aside from Armillo, Bulabo, the critters, and Roto, there's not a big assortment of characters or enemies. The Darkbot Legion probably has about 10 or so types in total, each looking visually similar to one another. Something else I noticed a few times while playing was that some parts of the game had a much lower polygon count than others, and the textures did look a bit flat at times, but I still think the game looks good for what it is. Also, I wasn't sure whether to put this in the gameplay or visual portion of the video, but the game's frame rate chugs sometimes. Now don't worry, it's nowhere near as bad as it was when it launched, but when a lot of things are occurring on screen, lag is going to be imminent. It's a minor inconvenience for some, and a deal breaker for others, so I thought I'd just let you know. Thankfully, what's far from being a deal breaker is the music. When looking at the credits for the game, I was actually surprised how many composers Armillo had. I can't recall if I've listened to any of their past works, but every 2D Stages song was amazing. It was such a missed opportunity to not release an official soundtrack, because I'd buy that up. The main stage's music sounded a lot like techno, with synth instruments for the bass and melody. Heck, there's some songs with a little bit of a cappella in there, but that's very rare. The only downside is that when you have so many composers, not all of them will be the best. Now, I love the soundtrack, but I could not for the life of me remember every song in the 3D parts of the game. Thankfully, each and every 2D track was awesome, going for an electric chiptune feel instead. They're a lot more energetic and funky than the others. If the whole soundtrack was like this, it'd be one of my favorite video game soundtracks, like, really in the top 5. But I'm still happy with the few great ones we got. I'll just say this now. Armillo is one of my top 3 eShop games on the Wii U. I'm serious. The intuitive and inventive gameplay, the wonderful soundtrack, on top of an actually decent story, just makes me want to give the guys who made this a big hug. Unfortunately, with the current state of FuzzyWuzzyGames, that'll probably never happen. Financial woes caused from the launch problems Armillo had are what I assume led to their eventual fade into obscurity. That on top of the fact that it didn't sell well because, let's face it, it's on the Wii U. There were plans to bring the game to Steam, but like I said, they're decommissioned now. And it's such a shame too. Armillo had great promise as a new IP. Heck, I would have loved to see a sequel, but the closest thing that'll ever be now is... To complete Armillo, you need to collect every critter in the game, buy every item in the shop that appears by the end of the game, and get a gold ranking on every single level that is possibly available before reaching 99% completion. Which, trust me, is a lot harder than it sounds. Overcoming these requirements unlocks the big challenge, a level you'll find much akin to the perfect run completion stages in the newer 3D Mario games. I may not have found it anywhere near as challenging as, say, Champions Road or whatever, but it's a nice little bonus that I enjoyed. Armillo is only on the Wii U with no planned ports coming anytime soon, if at all. The game is priced at $8, and here's the kicker. Beating the game straight through provides around 4 hours of content. However, completing the game 100% more than triples that time span, with my time clocking in at around 12.5 hours. If you're looking to complete an outstanding 3D platformer at a reasonable price, check out Armillo on the Wii U. It's well worth it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.